so this is our second one. We're gonna just be putting it on YouTube for now because it just seems to be the easiest way to do it. Every week as we go, we're gonna try and get better at this and upgrade what we're doing. Everything's kind of low budget right now, but it's not about that. It just is about just making this league, that much more better. So let's get into a little bit of news first.
Okay, let's start out with the what's happening in San Francisco with the 49ers. Going into this week one matchup, the 49ers were taking on the Detroit Lions. And everybody, including myself, we were high on Raheem Mostert.
Oh, yeah.
Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
And, man, he rose up the rankings. And Raheem Mostert is famous for being fragile.
Yeah.
So he had an injury. The first report came out that Mostert was out for 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. He had chipped a bone in his knee, and it was always a good idea to draft Trey Sermon.
Absolutely.
Because Mostert is so undependable. When he plays, he's good though.
And
even on Sunday, had 2 carries for 20 yards.
Well, the other thing is too is Shanahan's a trickster from way back, dude.
Yeah.
You never know what they're gonna do, which leads me into my next question.
Other than George Kittle, really George Kittle and the defense, you can't hardly depend on anybody on that team.
But the question is, what happened to Trey Sermon? I'm glad that I didn't. I told you in the last one. The 49ers is a team that is awesome offensively and defensively, but it's just hard to pick it every week, So, but Trey Sermon, when that happened, I said, oh my gosh, my dad has him, Coach Shafe has him. I said he hit the jackpot, because he lost Dobbins. Yeah. Now he's got Trey Sermon. That's going to be a weekly starter.
The report has come out, on Sleeper that Trey Sermon will be active for week 2.
Yep.
But still, out of nowhere, Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon's inactive. Raheem Mostert gets hurt on the first drive of the game.
Yep.
And then Elijah Mitchell, another rookie, he gets, 19 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
So you have a conundrum now. Mostert's out of the way, out of the picture. I guess if it was ever the best opportunity for Trey Sermon, it's now.
Right.
Mostert isn't even there. You don't have to worry about that. But, Shanahan is the type of coach where, practice matters. Who's practicing the best?
Right, yeah.
Draft capital, not that big of a deal to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
It's who's the best at practice, who's picking up the zone blitz, who memorizing the playbook.
Sure.
And maybe that's Trey Sermon fell short in all those areas.
Yeah.
And you've got Elijah Mitchell, who is probably worse as far as talent goes.
Right.
But he's better in all those other areas. So he got play.
Yep.
And he did well with it. The zone running scheme that San Francisco does is awesome. It's incredible.
Yeah, so I guess basically right before kickoff, Trey Sermon was inactive, which was, the thing that is confusing, I guess, to everybody is obviously Trey Sermon was drafted before, I think in the 3rd round, Mitchell in the 6th, and the beat reports coming out of San Francisco was Trey Sermon is the better back.
Yeah.
So it's probably, we don't really know, I guess, what the situation is, but there has been reports now that Mitchell looked better in practice,
Yeah.
So, but the beat reporters, I don't know what their deal is, what they were seeing, or who knows,
Yeah.
So.
Well, Trey Sermon, there's other factors. San Francisco traded up to draft Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
So they traded away a pick just to move up to get Trey Sermon. Kyle Shanahan and the scouts do their research. They don't just guess on guys. They put a lot of effort into it. So, but I agree with you. Something happened. Who knows? Maybe Trey Sermon, they're keeping it in-house. Maybe it was late to practice or something like that.
I heard another theory too, and I'm not saying this is gospel, but it was something like during open practice to the public, Elijah Mitchell wasn't really out with the starters, and then when practice was closed off to the public, he started going in there. So maybe it's like a secret they wanted to keep because people can find out. But I guess the most important question here is, what does this mean for the Trey Sermon owner, Grady? What does this mean for somebody's getting Elijah Mitchell? I'm sure I put a claim in for him. I know you did too. You ain't gonna get it though because I lost. But somebody's gonna get him this week. So what does the owners of those two do on a weekly basis, and who do you think is going to be the better back, and what can we expect week to week from these guys, I guess?
You know, typically if this was any other team other than San Francisco, you know, Kyle Shanahan, I would say that Trey Sermon's going to win out. He was, you know, draft capital, talent. I mean, he was a stud last year for Ohio State.
Right.
You know, so I would say Trey Sermon's got it. But knowing Kyle Shanahan, you know, don't forget, this didn't just happen to Trey Sermon. This also happened to Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Who the last 12 weeks of the regular season last year averaged 17.2 points per game.
Killed it.
And he didn't get a target.
No.
He got passed over by Trent Sherfield because Kyle Shanahan said, beat him out in practice. He was better this week in practice. They felt as if they had a better chance with Trent Sherfield. So draft capital doesn't matter to Kyle Shanahan.
Talent
you know,
don't necessarily matter either.
Right, exactly. So it's whoever's
wants it.
Whoever's hungry and whoever is practicing well and whoever is like on that page. I think, you know, studying the playbook, putting the effort in behind the scenes, character is obviously important to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
So my opinion is that Elijah Mitchell is going to be a starting running back.
Yeah. So
and we'll see. You know, Trey Sermon is going to mix in.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the 49ers rushing attack is one of the best in the league. So I think that there's room for both to eat. I just think it's going to be, you know, you might not get. They're both not going to necessarily hit every single week. But on Sunday, Elijah Mitchell ran 19 times out of the 28 carries. You know, he looked really good, so it's going to be interesting to see how this ends up. He played 64% of the offensive snaps. He was rated by PFF. He forced 6 missed tackles, second high that week, and had 3 rushing for 10 or more yards, tied for second. 73 yards after the contact, tied for third. I mean, they're playing Detroit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But still, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and I'm interested to see who gets that waiver claim. I really hope I do.
Where's Jermichael Hasty fall in all this?
Jermichael Hasty. I don't know. I mean, so the thing is with them is, like, you'll see, like, Mostert in years past play good, and then, like, the next game somebody's hot, and they wind up playing most of the snaps, you know? So
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah, they got all those. So I really think that you are not going to know week to week who's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
You know, but if I did have Elijah Mitchell or Trey Sermon, if I was desperate, I'd obviously put him in an RB2, but I think, in my opinion, they're going to be more of a flex with, you know, high upside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, hopefully you get at least 10 out of one of the guys. But, yeah, I mean, Jermichael Hasty.
Well, he was the other back that was, you know, rostered and played on Sunday. He had 1 carry for 3 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 target, 1 reception.
Played 29% of the snaps though too, that's more intriguing than the 2 carries.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see for sure, and it's exciting. I really hope I get.
If Trey Sermon's active, I doubt Jermichael Hasty will.
Yeah, I mean, you would think it would be those 2 primarily, and then, you know, who's going to hit, we don't know. So another really interesting thing, and you know, we didn't actually release our first. We did film one right after the draft, and we did a sleepers and bust section. And you know, it's only week 1, but I picked DeAndre Swift to be a bust, and there was a lot of concern heading into Sunday because of his injury and Jamal Williams there. So let's get into that. What is your reaction to Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift this week?
So I honestly believe again, going to the back to the coaching staff. So head coach Dan Campbell, he's like a novelty. He's got muscles on top of muscles. His first press conference after being introduced as the new head coach of the Detroit Lions, he came out in public and said that he wants to bite the kneecaps of the opposing team. So, you know, it's like a George the Animal Steele as a head coach. But, you know, but not so much Dan Campbell, it's his assistant coaches. Okay, here it works like this. Anthony Lynn, the offensive coordinator, former head coach for the LA Chargers.
Yeah.
Remember a guy named Austin Eckler?
Yeah.
Melvin
right,
Gordon.
Right.
These are
they
guys.
throw the ball to the running back.
That's it. And
Yeah.
these are guys that Anthony Lynn. This is a offensive scheme that runs through the running back. It really does. It goes through the running back. I'm confident that Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift will both have a
They're
big
both going to
role
eat.
this
Yeah, I
year.
believe that too after seeing
Yep.
that. Let me ask you this question.
Because they
Speaking-
both can catch.
They both can very well. Speaking of the coaching change going over there, how many catches did Austin Eckler have this week?
0.
Unreal.
Yep.
Unreal.
That's scary for the Austin Eckler owner.
It's scary for Trouble Todd, the OG. He drafted. I was big on Eckler. I wanted him. He's a
Yeah.
guy that I had picked if I had that back end. It'd be him and like Najee would be the guys
Yeah.
or something.
You got to
that
give
I
it a
like.
couple weeks.
Nah, it's
I
only
mean.
week one. It's nothing to worry about, but it is concerning, with that coaching change, and DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and TJ no longer Droppinson. His name is Hawkinson.
Oculus.
Huh? They are the ones who got the targets.
Yeah.
That was it.
And to lay it further on, Tyrell Williams, who was their number one receiver,
Yeah.
is out. He went out with a concussion. So he isn't going to be playing in week 2.
Yeah, I think.
So, the Detroit Lions aren't going to win many games. I'd be surprised if they won 2 or 3.
Hey, they came back. That was incredible.
Well, that's what I mean. But that's for fantasy football.
Right.
That's what you
It's
want.
awesome. That is
They're
awesome.
going to be throwing. They're going to be Jamal Williams, great receiving back. DeAndre Swift, even better receiving back. And TJ Hawkinson, like Jason Moore on the Footballer said, was drafted to be great.
He was, yeah. Yeah, we drafted him our first in the Dynasty League. I think
We should have never.
I know we should have never let him go. Tight ends take a while to develop, and going into the draft, I knew I wasn't going to draft Waller, Kittle, or Travis Kelce. My
Yeah.
2 guys I wanted were Hawkinson and Pitts, and I could have chosen. I chose Pitts over him. But it's worrisome to have a good player on a bad team, but when they have to, when they're playing from behind, it's a good thing. And I
Yeah.
think he's going to have a fantastic year
Yeah.
for sure. I think you found a gem in him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and Jamal Williams, most people drafted him as a backup. He's a backup player in most
Yeah,
fantasy
right.
leagues, but I mean, when you talk about a flex spot, I mean, he's a perfect flex.
And like the thing that's funny is too, like I've had him quite a bit. I have in the Dynasty League, and I always wind up. He'd always be on the wire way into the season, and you
Yeah.
look at this guy and you're like, this is the perfect flex.
Yeah.
Guy. He's gonna get you at least 10. And if he scores,
and that's what I
more,
mean. He's so dependable.
He is. He
because
is.
he catches the ball.
He catches the ball and he runs hard, man. He
Yeah.
runs hard.
And this week is a revenge game. He's going back to Green Bay.
And they look bad. I
And-
think. Yeah,
And Jamal Williams is going to want to shove it right up their asshole.
he is. I think he is. I think Aaron Rodgers needs to come out of depression and cut that hair. That's the problem right there, bro. The hair is an issue with that guy. He looks like he's been on a bender.
I wouldn't worry about him, man.
I think he's
going
to be good. No, he's going to bounce back. I think he'll have a good game week 2.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, let's get into 2 injuries this week. We have Big Booty Judy and Fitzmagic.
That
Ham.
one hurt, man.
It hurt. So we'll get into it a little bit more, but obviously I have Jerry Judy, and he was doing good. He had 13 points in the second quarter.
He was
went
gonna
down,
kill
man.
it.
High ankle sprain, 6 to 8 weeks out. Fitzmagic, how many? He didn't play a whole lot, did he, before that?
No, I think he went out in the second quarter.
Yep,
And let me see if I can get this right with a hip
hip injury.
subluxation.
Dr. Paul.
And you know what they said? It's a little bit minor than the injury that Tua Tagovailoa suffered at
Sure.
Alabama,
And what's
which
the
he was out for a whole year.
what's the timeline on? They don't know yet.
They just put Ryan Fitzpatrick on IR.
Okay.
but they have that short-term 3-week IR.
Sure.
So they're not sure if he's going to be back in a month. But this is also pretty interesting. Chase Young, the leader of their defense, went on the air today earlier and said that Tyler Heineke could be the starting quarterback on any other NFL team.
Yeah. He didn't do bad, and the other thing is he has the legs, man.
Yeah.
He's a dual threat. So.
Well, remember he played in the second half of that playoff game against Tampa Bay.
Sure. Yeah.
And he kept them in the game.
Yeah.
He
absolutely.
played great.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I'm sad for Big Booty Judy because I have him and I got him late. He's one of my sleeper picks this year, but I really am more sad for Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has such a great story, and over the last couple of years, he's been so good, and he finally got that chance. It meant so much for Scary Terry, for the that was going to be, he was going to take them far, and it really is a shame.
Well, and just the veteran aspect. He's a veteran, you know, and he's learned how to read a defense. Obviously, he's a gunslinger, but last year with Miami, he did great. He started out 5-2.
They took him out.
Yep, and then they went with Tua, but Tua won. He's just more of a game manager.
Yeah,
but
sure,
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so we talked about that. So let me ask you this: as a Scary Terry owner in a different league, what are you worried at this point?
I'm not. I'm really not. I do think that Terry McLaurin has lost that top 5 wide receiver potential, but I still think he's going to land inside the top 12.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, I was going to say top 15, but it's definitely, he's a great receiver, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played with horrible quarterbacks and has done
Yeah,
well.
and as we know, all it takes is for Tyler Heineke to lock on to him.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
he can throw the ball. We've seen it plenty of times. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater blocked on to Robbie Anderson.
Did he?
He made Robbie Anderson a top 20 wide receiver last year.
Yep.
So quarterbacks lock on to a guy, and
That's all you need.
we've seen that before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Jerry Jeudy, quickly, we'll get through this. What is the impact there for that team with now potentially their 1 or 2 or 1B receiver going for the year?
Yeah, I'd say it's just next man up. The thing about Denver is the weakest position on their team is their quarterback. Their offensive line's rebuilt. It's strong. They have a great running game.
Sure.
Melvin Gordon. They have Javonte Williams, Noah Fant. A solid starting receiving tight end. You got Cortland Sutton, who was coming back off a major ACL surgery, but he got his feet under him. He got his feet wet a little bit.
Sure.
Then you got KJ Hamler in the slot, who was high draft capital. He was drafted in the 2nd or the 3rd round last year. And then you got Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick's the next man up.
Yeah.
He's going to be starting for Jerry Jeudy. Now he's not no Jerry Jeudy, but Tim Patrick is. Last year he was a waiver wire steal.
Yeah, sure.
And he did his thing. So Denver's good, man. Denver's defense is good. Their offense is good. I think they'll hang in there from a fantasy football perspective. From what I saw in that first half with Jerry Jeudy, man, I would say he was going to finish as a top 10 wide receiver.
I believe it, and he's him, Antonio, 2 of the that kind of tier. Those are the 2 guys that I really loved, and I was excited to have him as a wide receiver 3. You can't ask for a better wide receiver 3. The potential is sky high. Last year he had a lot of drops, and he had. What was the stat? The most uncatchable passes thrown to him.
I mean, it was
as a
ridiculous.
rookie.
50%, half of them.
So that's a shame, but hopefully he comes back. 6 to 8 weeks and can pick it right back up. Okay, so moving on. Let's get into the recap of Week 1. What an exciting week it was. Lots of action. We saw. I was wrong about a lot of things, and it just goes to show. We've talked about it quite a bit. There are teams in this league that when after they drafted, I said, there is no way. For example, I'm not being harsh on anybody, Dave's team in it to win it, and the Leatherheads, I said, I don't like their teams.
Yeah.
And they had the 2 top scorers.
I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable weeks. In to win was the top dog. He scored 183.48 points. And man, it was not even a game. The college moms looked like a college team.
Yeah, so let's go into that game first and continue to go.
183.48 to 118.36. The in to win obviously has Mahomes and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And that was his first and second pick. He had the 10th pick. He went 10-11, Hill, Mahomes. And, those of us that have been doing fantasy football for some years, we were like, loser. You're a loser.
Right, but you're never, and that's the thing. I would have never done that, but you're never out of the game with Hill and Mahomes.
My teams personally never beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Never. I can never beat
man.
that guy.
He's ridiculous.
So he got, if Tyreek Hill has an MVP type year, well, obviously Mahomes is throwing him the ball.
Absolutely.
In to win is going to be in every game.
They are.
Just with that.
And the thing with their team was, not necessarily that I don't like it. And what I told Dave is I said, your team's not bad. There's just a lot of question marks. There's a question mark in Devontae Swift. There's a question mark on Miles Sanders. There's a question mark on Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
But this week they all hit.
Everything worked out for him. Zach Ertz went out.
Yep.
Right?
Goddard looked good.
Yep.
Did his thing.
So he had a hamstring pull.
Hey, how about them Birds?
Birds did it, man. What was the score? 32-6?
32-6. That's
Come
crazy.
on.
Hurts looked
Jalen
good.
Hurts looked great. Well, so the college moms, on paper, has a great team.
They got
man.
the best draft.
Brady, Adams, McLaurin, Robert Woods, Barkley. He has Swift on the bench, which was a dumb.
I wouldn't have started him either, though. I really wouldn't have. I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
It would have been hard.
He's going to be rebuilding, though. I'm looking at the college moms roster, and he has 3 empty spots.
He has 3 empty spots. Connor, you gotta claim those spots, man. You're just leaving food out there for everybody else to eat, dude.
Yeah.
Pick up some people.
Yeah.
And he had a very, none of his players really hit besides Brady, okay, and Tyler Lockett. His team is scary. If Swift hits, if Barkley hits, he's got Curtis Samuel on the bench, who I heard it whispered in the streets that people think Curtis Samuel was going to end up higher than Terry McLaurin, a bold take. He's good. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's good. And he's got Michael Thomas, who just got moved off the pup to the IR, which is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Now he's out with COVID, though.
Yeah, COVID. I just seen that. So, I think college moms had a bad break.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I don't want to beat college moms over the head, but I can't understand the dropping of Devontae Williams.
Some things you'll just never understand.
yeah. Connor, I love you, but I don't get it, man. That must have been an anger drop there. But now he's out there on the wire.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna eat, dude.
Hopefully me.
Yeah, hopefully. I put in a claim. It don't matter. We can't do nothing. I put in a claim for Mitchell was my first claim. Williams is my second claim. So one of them should fall.
Yep.
I think. So anything else we want to hit on here? I just want the record to show. I think it's important that when we're wrong, we admit it. But I did call Marquise Brown over Claypool. He didn't play Claypool, which I think was a good move.
Who'd you tell?
I told him Marquise Brown. I think we said it when we were recording this.
And he played Marquise Brown.
Played Marquise Brown.
And he hit.
He hit.
How about Coach Schaaf, the rookie, the fantasy football rookie, taking out the OG? Man, that hurts. I'm sure my brother is rolling over in his bed. He doesn't take losses well.
You guys are alike. You guys got the same mentality, probably.
Yeah, Coach Schaaf, man. I got to give it to him. He built a good team. Having never really done fantasy football before, he used some of his Division I AA football prowess.
Scouting,
to build a good team.
No,
so
he definitely did.
It was close. I watched that Monday Night Football game, and it really did come down to the second half. But with Lamar Jackson and Darren Waller, he was never going to be counted out.
Yeah. And, he got obviously super unlucky drafting Dobbins and him going out, in the preseason. So he has a hole.
And he's got Trey Sermon.
He's got Trey Sermon.
So if Trey Sermon does what everybody thought he was going to do, now that Mostard's out for the year, Coach Schaaf is
He's good. You know,
looking like a playoff contender.
I mean, he's got Lamar Jackson, top 5, potentially 1, top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
In my opinion, DeAndre Hopkins, like I told you 15 times, I don't understand why he was so. I mean, he's number 5 was his ADP pick, fifth receiver. But I think he's one of the best and has potential to be the number 1.
Well, with Kyler Murray,
exactly. I mean, he's amazing, and he's got one of the best quarterbacks. Thielen, I think. I don't know, man. I think he obviously had a really good game, but I don't know that happens week to week. I don't, I'm worried about Thielen.
Yeah.
But, he...
But, we said that all last year, and he only led the NFL in touchdown receptions.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There has to be regression in those touchdowns. He can't do that again, man.
I mean, I'm with you. He scored 2 week 1, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm with you. And, you look at it and you say, there has to be. Well, in fantasy football, we look into it and we dig and we turn over every rock. And guys just come in like, yeah, that guy, he did good last year. Let me take him. And we're like, no. He's going to drop off. And it's like, bam, he blows up again.
Yeah. There are no absolutes in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, too. This one was super surprising to me. Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That freaking touchdown. Wow.
Yeah, well, he's a A1 talent, man.
Yeah, he is, but they said he was fat, out of shape. He didn't play all last year. So it was either you were super high or super low on him. That was the consensus from the fantasy community. And he only had 101 yards, 1 reception, touchdowns. He only had 5 receptions, which isn't horrible.
Yeah.
But that if he winds up being that guy, Coach Schaaf. Maybe.
But he has the thing I don't like about how he built his team. He has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, that's
how would you you can play them both.
Nah, the thing is, I would never play both of them in the same week unless it was a crazy matchup.
That's
and
what
then
I mean.
You're stuck with.
So now you're jammed up.
I would try and trade one. I would trade one. That'd be my move right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just quickly hit over OG's team. Russell Wilson. Every single year since I've been playing. The first 6 to 8 games, Russell Wilson looks like the MVP. They let him cook. He comes out. He can throw the ball just like anybody, man.
The best deep ball thrower I've ever seen in my life.
Great under pressure. He's just an awesome quarterback. He can do everything. He can use his feet.
Yeah.
But at some point during the season, it's either they go back to the run game really hard or, he's getting older now. He still does great, but, that MVP, like the first beginning of the season, he kills it, dude.
Yeah.
He always does.
Yeah.
So that's good. Godwin had an incredible game. 105 yards, 9
I don't
receptions.
think that's going to change, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I think Antonio Brown has the huge potential to be the one on that team at the end of the year. I think it's a 1A, 1B situation.
Yeah.
And Mike Evans, he'll be good for some games, but I don't believe he will do what he used to do.
Well, the thing about Mike Evans is he's going to get the best coverage on every defense they play.
Yeah.
He's going to get that A1 coverage. And Mike Evans, he's great. He can beat it.
He scores
sometimes.
touchdowns.
Yep, but he is not what he used to be.
Yeah.
Mike Evans was great, was top 5 wide receiver before Godwin came, before Antonio Brown came.
Yeah.
Things are different now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Godwin plays out of the slot, and Tom Brady feeds the slot like a champ.
Yeah.
So Godwin is going to be a stud this year, but I agree. I do think Antonio Brown is going to be, because he's, we watched that first game of the year. And by the way,
what an amazing game, dude.
Man, but the first game on Thursday and the last game on Monday. This is football.
What can you ask for?
This is so exciting. I haven't slept in 5 days.
Woo, I know. It's been late nights and early mornings and tired days. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So let's talk
My
about...
wife told me she's going to go and order a pair of shoulder pads so I could spend some time with her.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it begins. Debo Samuel. Oh, my goodness.
What a man.
34 points, 189 yards, 9 receptions, and a touchdown.
Crazy, man.
Wow.
He just went berserk.
I was wrong about him. I was out on him and
Yeah.
Ayuk just because they're like the same.
Yeah,
But,
well, I
wow.
mean, Debo Samuel is one of the most injury-prone
Yeah,
players
oh yeah,
in the NFL.
he always does get injured, but
So-
what a game he had.
Yeah, I mean, when he's healthy, you know, you want to start him. If he's healthy and you have him, start him.
Yep.
But if not, you know, you're gonna have to suffer.
And the last thing I'll mention about your brother's team is when I look at your brother's team, the names I'm scared of are Aaron, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, George Kittle, and Austin Eckler.
Yeah, he's
And
got
they
that
all-
strong bottom four.
And they all let him down week 1. I don't think that will continue to happen.
Nah, he's gonna hang around.
Yep. Okay, so let's go to the K-Slayers and the week winner, the Leatherheads, with 175.82 points. And again, back to the Thursday night game. Dak Prescott, 403 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 13 rushing yards. Amari Cooper, 139 yards, 13 receptions, and a touchdown. How impressed. And this, I'm going to say, I was wrong. I was out on Dak Prescott this week because he hasn't played, and they were up against a tough defense.
Yeah,
I was completely wrong, but he looked just like he did before
Yeah.
he went out last
I
year.
mean-
Amazing.
incredible. Yeah, and as long as the Dak Prescott stays healthy, you know, Cooper stays healthy, just like the Mahomes and Hill within to win.
Yeah.
I think the Leatherheads are going to compete. He's
Yeah.
got a good enough cast around those guys. He's got Kelsey. He's got Nick Chubb, Chris Carson, Allen Robinson, who probably that's his worst game of the year
Yeah,
right there.
Right, absolutely.
And, you know, so he's going to be in every game, man. And
Yeah.
he's solid. He's got a good kicker and a good defense.
Yeah,
I mean, what more do you want?
Another thing I was wrong about, I did not like the Leatherheads team, but
His
with
bench sucks. I don't
Yeah.
like his bench. at
no,
all.
yeah, he don't got much going on there. But with Dak Prescott looking the way he did, this is going to be. And by the way, I love Chris Carson this year. I've always loved Chris Carson. I always will love Chris Carson. Okay, I want that out.
You
there.
have a man crush.
I got a
on Chris
man crush on Chris Carson. What do you think, Amari Cooper, going forward? Because both of us were not in on him this year.
I know,
So
man.
what
What's
are
in
your
that wrong?
thoughts?
Well,
It's week 1. It's week
yeah,
1.
you know, I do think that Cooper can sustain. Obviously, he's not going to score 40 points
No.
every week, but I think he can be I do think CeeDee Lamb is going to be the number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. 1A, 1B.
He's just explosive, you know.
He looked good, man. Besides those couple of drops, he
Let's
looked
not forget that the you know number 1 cornerback for Tampa Bay got hurt,
good. Yeah.
and
right.
so you
Yeah,
know that
they
changed.
were picking on him big
Yeah.
time. Oh man.
That changed for Cooper once Sean Murphy Bunting went out with the injury.
Yep.
Then they put Jamel Dean on Amari Cooper, and he just simply couldn't cover him.
Sure.
That's not going to be like that every week, but you know what is going to be every week? CeeDee Lamb working out of the slot.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna.
He's
do
a
great.
killer.
I heard it said that he had a bad game, but he still.
Well, he
killed
dropped
it.
a couple
Yeah,
passes,
yeah.
and yeah.
But he still looked good. All right, so the last thing I'll say about the Leatherheads is Smith-Schuster. You know, that might be something that needs to be upgraded, maybe with Mooney. I think Mooney down the line is going to be decent. But moving on to K-Slayers, you had a bad week, 142.38. Justin Herbert, you know, for NFL purposes, did his thing.
Yeah.
He did his thing. He kept them in the game. They
Yeah.
came back.
Well, he went up against a really stingy Washington football team.
The stingy.
Their defense is great. And Stephon Diggs was held to, 16 points. I say that because he's top 3.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp exploded.
His
on
receivers
Sunday
are
night.
amazing.
He's got the best
He's
receivers.
got the best receivers in the league. I love Cooper Kupp
Yeah,
this year with
yeah,
Matthew
he's
Stafford.
going to go crazy.
He
And
looked
then
great.
Zeke, we talked about it
Let's talk about this.
last week. I know we're on 2 different camps.
Let's get into it. Let's get into the 2 different camps.
So, watching the game, the explosiveness of Zeke, okay, all right, that flip down around the 5-yard line, maybe 3 years ago he shook loose of that guy.
2 years ago, he shook loose of that
Blake
guy.
Jarwin missed the block. He totally whiffed blocking the guy.
Smells
Zeke
decent.
got the ball, and boom, he looked up, and the guy was right in his face. But he had burst. He looked like he had burst. He was
Yeah.
running, getting to the hole quick. There was no hole.
So number one, you're too close on this. You have had Ezekiel Elliott since I've known you, and you got him in 2 other leagues. I think Ezekiel Elliott is a great running back, and they played, a tough rushing attack from the defense. But this is my thought, and I could be wrong. I said it last year after Prescott went out. He doesn't look the same. He doesn't hit the hole like he used to. He doesn't sniff that end zone like he used to, and he don't break tackles like he used to. So I do think, I'm going to say he finishes top 15, but I don't think that he's going to be anywhere near, the number 5 overall running back.
I'm glad I wasn't faced with that decision this year.
Yeah,
I had the 4th pick.
I don't think he's going to do what he used to do. He's still going to be viable. He's still going to be good, but, I think he's kind of teetering on, that RB2 is where I think he finishes at the end of the year, not an RB1.
Yeah.
Damian Harris from New England, that was a lot of hype around that, and he came through. 100 rushing yards, man. 2 receptions for 17 yards. I mean, in the PPR league, that's all you need. 14.7 points. That's a good number for your RB2.
Don't forget, there's a fumble in there too, so he really should have had 16 points.
Yep.
And he was killing it, man. He was fed the ball. I mean, he was a workhorse.
Yep.
23 carries, 100 yards.
Yeah.
And then he was not supposed to get targets, but he did.
Yeah.
He was in the doghouse because he fumbled the ball at the end of the game, and Miami won. But going forward, Damian Harris is the best running back they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's good. He's a power runner. He's quick. He hits the hole. I like him. I think he'll grow into that role. But, if I was the general manager of K-Slayers, I would look to move one of those big 3.
Yeah,
one of those wide receivers. He needs a running back.
He needs a running back. And, Melvin Gordon had a great week, and I think that he will have good weeks. He
needs a top shelf running back, man.
Yeah, I think that touchdown, the 22 looks better than, he had a great game.
He had a 70-yard touchdown run. That's half of those points, right?
So I don't know that continues to happen. But if it were me, like you said, I'd be looking to move. Hey, me personally, I will pay for Cooper Kupp. We could do a package, Gordon and Kupp for somebody. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have Cooper Kupp. Like, he trades one of those 3 receivers, he can get a decent running back, which would upgrade his team for sure.
Yeah, and let us not forget that this week Bruce Arians came out and said that Ronald Jones is getting the start.
Yeah, he was in the doghouse.
He was, but he's getting the start. We've seen Ronald Jones, man, start out a game red hot, and he's not coming off the field much.
I think he's the best running back on that team.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so we're taking a long time.
Let's just get through the rest of these. Let's go to Team Flash and the Dirt McGirt.
Oof.
Dirt McGirt, man, this is a game you're gonna want to forget. His quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, I think that was an anomaly. I don't think you'll ever see that again. 3.3 points. It was the worst game of Aaron Rodgers' career.
It was bad.
It was awful. He'll never do that again. I'm so sure of it.
What happened?
I think that the New Orleans Saints put together a really good plan. They're a good defense.
They are. Yeah.
They've been playing together for years.
Yeah, and I think they're changing. They don't have Drew Brees, so that changes everything.
Yep.
So they ran the ball a lot, and their defense looked phenomenal.
Yep.
And, there is something to be said about what happened to the city of New Orleans. They won the Super Bowl last time this happened. They want to do something for those people and give them some sort of hope. So there's that extra incentive for them this year.
Yeah, so, I'm not too worried about Dave. He put up a stinker. Every year you're going to have a game like that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even 2. But I'll tell you what I am worried about. We got to keep it moving.
Yeah,
but
we do.
let's just talk about James Robinson.
Yes, that's who I got up right here.
James Robinson, man. When we got the word that Travis Etienne, he tore his ACL and he was out for the year, and James Robinson skyrocketed the rankings. And he really moved into, I'd say the mid-tier RB2, but definitely a starter every week.
Yeah.
After seeing what he did last year and the improved offense Well, they come out this game and Carlos Hyde, who's, you know, he used to play in college for Urban Meyer, the head coach of Jacksonville, and he got more carries than James Robinson.
Yeah, I mean,
by a few.
James Robinson has 5 attempts, 25 yards, not a bad average. 7 is his longest, no touchdowns. You know, I last year I tried to trade Dave for James Robinson multiple times. This year I didn't like it because their offensive line is, you know, he could wind up being good, but there's something to be said about how well he played last year and them going out and drafting.
You know what, man?
back.
This is something that fantasy football managers do not put enough stock in. Coaching changes.
Absolutely. It's
It
huge.
gets people every year. It's a different philosophy.
Absolutely.
Just because you have the same player does not mean they're going to be used the same way.
Right.
Austin Eckler, James Robinson, you know, and there's obviously
I mean, even
others.
superstars, like, for example, Alvin Kamara last year, when Tyson Hill played, didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Because Hill takes those touchdowns, he runs, you know, so
Yeah.
it really does. I mean, that's not a coaching change, but, you know, just to say, it doesn't matter who you are, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's different philosophies, man.
So, Team Flash has the win with 141.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen did his thing. Didn't have a super great game. Neither did Justin Jefferson. Dalvin Cook did good for him. Josh Jacobs, I'm surprised with. I didn't see that coming. But here's the thing that we already know with Jacobs.
I'll tell you that, you know, that 17 points is deceiving.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's a touchdown guy. If he scores, he does well.
He had
And he'll
10
have,
carries.
Yeah,
bro.
it's not good. How many did
Not
Kenyon
good.
Drake have?
Kenyon Drake didn't have a lot of carries, but Kenyon Drake had 5 catches for 60 yards.
Yeah, and he's going to be, for whatever reason, they do. And Josh Jacobs can catch the ball.
I'm sorry, but in
They
a
don't
PPR
have it.
league, in a points per reception league, the running back that catches the ball is the most valuable.
He is, yeah. So I think Josh Jacobs going forward is going to be a touchdown dependent, back. I think he's going to hurt a lot of weeks, and a lot of weeks he'll help you. Julio Jones,
Stinker.
they had a bad game. The
Yeah.
whole team really had a bad game.
Yep.
AJ Brown did okay with 14, but overall it wasn't,
Team Flash's numbers are inflated with Rob Gronkowski, man.
Oh my God. Was he the one this
points.
week? Or the
Yeah,
two?
yeah, he was the one. Yeah.
Man, so this is interesting. What do you think about Gronkowski for the rest of the year? Do you think he does this?
I think he keeps that somewhat up.
Where does he
mean,
finish?
I'd say he'll finish. I'd probably put him top 5.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna say
Yeah.
top 5 too. I think
6. 5 or
last
6.
year he just needed that time to come back
Yeah.
a little bit, and now
I mean,
he's back.
after watching the game,
He looked good.
it's
man.
not that he catches everything that's thrown near him, and then it takes 3 or 4 guys to bring him down.
Oh yeah, and he scores.
Yeah.
That one-handed catch he had, amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the last game, which is me versus you, and this was a nail biter. It
Yeah.
really, really was. The whole time, I was projected to lose pretty much the whole time after the first 10 minutes of the game. I was down to 20%, and then I worked my way back up to 40 at one point, and it came down to Big Booty Judy at the 4:00 game and David Montgomery and Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara 4:00, David Montgomery Sunday night game. And, it was looking good. I had a little bit of a lead on you. Kamara was doing his thing. He's always going to do that. And my hope was, I knew Montgomery was going to do good. My hope was Judy had to go off, and he started to.
Mm-hmm.
He started to before that high ankle sprain took him out of the game, and that was that.
Yeah.
That was that. It was a good, it was a good game.
Yeah, it was close. It was, the reason why it isn't as close as it, the score isn't, is because Judy went down.
Judy went down.
If Judy stayed and finished the game, I think it would have been a 2-point game.
Yep.
Close
So
to.
some highlights on both of our teams. I'll do yours, you do mine. Obviously, Kyler Murray killed it. DJ Moore did what he was supposed to do. Antonio Brown dominated that game. He looked the best receiver on that team. Godwin had a couple of huge drops.
And a fumble.
And a fumble. Antonio Brown looked amazing. I believe the hype. He looks like he did 4 or 5 years ago. He does, man.
Yeah.
He looked great. And him and Brady, they got that connection.
Yeah.
They live together, man. Brady put them up and brought them back. I think going forward, like I said earlier, he's going to be.
Well, remember when the New England Patriots had that perfect season?
Yeah.
Remember, and then they lost the Super Bowl to the Giants. Well, that year, New England, they've had Tom Brady. Obviously, he's always been great. He was winning, but they didn't have that receiver that could just beat anyone on any play.
Yeah.
And they brought in a fellow by the name of Randy Moss.
Randy Dandy.
And he had been in the league for some time.
Yeah.
And I think at that point had gone to another team, maybe the Raiders. And, he was starting to get a little worn down, probably losing, wasn't winning like he was early on in Minnesota. And then he comes to New England, and Tom Brady can take some talent and make it extra special.
Yeah, and it's not something that he's had a lot, to the point of, Randy Moss. So now really he has 3 incredible receivers.
He's got a fool's ransom.
Yeah, and Gronkowski and, Bernard and Fournette that can catch it out of the backfield. They're going to win the Super Bowl. I believe that they are.
I mean, it would take a massive collapse. But
yeah. So one thing that I'm concerned about on your team, and talking about, he was a guy I was looking at, had a decision, I didn't go with Calvin Ridley. Matt, I know that the Eagles defensive line, they did their thing. They put pressure on Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan looked awful. Yeah. Absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And that makes me nervous for Calvin Ridley.
Well, I think it's going to be, the games where the pass rush is good. This week they're playing Tampa, good pass rush. The game, don't forget Calvin Ridley dropped. It was right in his hands. It was a 22-yard out pattern.
Yep.
So you catch that. Now you're up. That's 3.5.
Yeah,
now you're up around 13 and a half. So, he was targeted 8 times. Calvin Ridley's always going to do his thing. I don't think Atlanta's going to be good this year.
No, they're going to be.
They're going to be bad.
Matt Ryan's he's.
This is probably his last year there. But I will say that, man, again, going back to the Detroit Lions, for fantasy, you want a team that's losing. That's going to be Atlanta. They're going to be losing every game. They're going to be like they were against Philly, throwing the ball.
Matt Ryan has, made some people very good. Austin Hooper. Obviously Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage does his thing when those guys were injured.
Yep.
He can throw the ball. I just think it's just week 1 that could change. But he looked horrible. If I was a Ridley owner, I would be not panicking but concerned.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
I'm interested to see how it comes out this week.
Yeah,
and see if Ridley. He scores a touchdown, he'll be fine.
Yep. So everybody on your team did really good. Najee Harris, I think that was kind of, predictable with the matchup they had. He had a lot of carries, and I don't think anybody else had. No other running back had a carry.
Bro, no other running back played it down.
So
this man played 57 snaps.
Yeah,
out of 57 snaps.
Insane.
What more do you want?
He's gonna get it. It's only volume is king with running backs, man.
He's
gonna get his. I'd love to talk about your bench. Your bench could have probably won a week in itself, but I feel like we should move on. So, my team, I did not plan on drafting Jalen Hurts, and he was there, and I took him, and I'm so glad. I was surprised at how great
Jalen Hurts. He put up the points, but he looked great.
His throws were on point.
He wasn't just running;
Nope.
He was throwing. He mixed the run in. Last year he would run first and throw if it was open, but it's just growth, man. It's the progression of a good quarterback looking for his open receivers. It really does help to have Devontae Smith, who gets open, and he did, and Hurts was looking for him. Deontay Johnson had a scare. He went out of the game. That's a scary thing. Deontay Johnson is made out of glass, man. He gets hurt so easy.
I know.
So that's one of the reasons I pulled the trigger for Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
Because
if Johnson goes out,
there's a good chance of it because he gets hurt a lot, even for a half of a game.
Yeah.
Chase Claypool's the big play threat.
Chase Claypool honestly has the potential to be the one on that team. Deontay Johnson, he gets the targets, man.
Yep.
He always
And he's
does.
going to as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, and I mean, the concern with him, number one, injury, number two, drops. That pass he caught in the
Yep.
back of the end zone, great catch. So hopefully that improves. All right, what else you got?
McCafferty and Mixon, you had the number 1 and number 2 running backs. Great. I love 29 carries from Joe Mixon. You know, now nobody's really even talking about last year. Now everybody's excited about what Joe Mixon's going to do this year. Kyle Pitts wasn't really involved. I think that Kyle Pitts getting involved in the future is going to be really good for
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley.
Yes.
I'm not excited about Mike Davis at all.
Yeah, I was, what's the backup's name that got brought in quite a bit?
Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, so, that was something that nobody saw coming, and it's definitely concerning. I picked Mike Davis to be one of my sleepers this year, and now I'm not so sure about it. But here is the thing that I am encouraged about. He still had 15 rushing attempts. I mean, that is a good number to have. So Atlanta, I mean, when's the last time they had a seriously fantasy relevant running back?
Yeah.
You know what I
Been a
mean?
while.
So, I'm hopeful for Mike Davis, but, he's a good flex play. If he gets me 10, 12 points a week, I'm okay with that. But I don't, after that game, I'm not as excited about him as I was. So.
Yeah, and then your bench, you have Brandon Cooks. You
Killed.
might want to consider getting him in the lineup.
He's going to be in my
somehow.
lineup next week. Yeah.
So, all right, did we cover all the
We
games?
covered all the games.
Now we're gonna go ahead to next week's matchups.
Yeah, we got to get through this quickly.
Okay, let's go to week 2. We won't spend a lot of time on it, but I'm scheduled to play Dirt McGirt, the dirtiest man alive, and it's projected at 159.87 for me to Dirt McGirt's 144.99. That could change. Obviously, he can make a couple moves, but
Yep. So, projected win or lose that game.
What's that?
What's your take? Who's going to win?
I'm gonna win.
Okay. I'm going to go with you're going to win that as well. Philly Special versus OG. I'm projected to lose right now by 10 points. I don't think I can say I can't. I'm not going to lose that game. I'm going to say I'm going to win. What's your take on that?
Wow. I haven't really. So you went ahead and put Tyler Higbee in there.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's
Marcus
probably going to
Callaway.
change. That's probably going to change. I've been messing with it.
Okay.
I got a lot of tough matchups this week.
So it's hard to say without seeing the lineup that you're gonna really go with.
Yep.
My brother did make some changes, and he went with Kenny Galladay on Thursday night instead of Cortland Sutton, which that's baffling. That's a head scratcher. Jerry Jeudy goes out, and he goes ahead and put Cortland Sutton on his bench.
Yeah, I mean, we really got to wait till tomorrow till the waivers come out for me to really set,
Yeah.
my full lineup. You know what I mean? But
You're going to be faced this week. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this game, but
right.
you're going to be faced this week with the same thing you were faced with last week. You're going to have a running back on the other team playing on Sunday night and on Monday night.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Hate that.
I seem to.
That's the
always,
thing I don't like about my game because his quarterback and tight end are playing on Monday night.
Yeah, that's the worst.
So,
All right, who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose? Who's gonna win that game?
oh man, I'm going to say that I think that you're going to win that game.
All right.
I do. I really do. Just because you have some really good matchups. I like Deontay Johnson's matchup. I like Brandon Cooks' matchup. McCafferty does his thing. Joe Mixon's gonna do his
I'm
thing.
excited about Mixon.
I really would consider playing Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna wind up playing Kyle Pitts. My flex, I know I'm not gonna play Mike Davis against Tampa. I would suggest, listen. Ezekiel Elliott, number 5. I said I would consider not playing him, but you can't because you took him as your
that's
first
right.
pick.
Yep.
But nobody besides a pass catching running back, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook is going to do good
Yeah.
against Tampa. Okay, so moving
Man,
on.
look at Team Flash and the K-Slayers.
Yeah,
it's a
that's-
50-50.
Ooh, that's a nail biter.
That's close,
yeah,
man.
it really is.
So taking a quick look down at the matchups, who's playing who. Yeah. I'm gonna go with the K-Slayers.
I'm gonna go with Team Flash on this
Wow,
one. I
okay.
really think Gronkowski plays against Atlanta. Dalvin Cook. I think Mike Evans and Gronkowski have an amazing week with that good matchup. So I'm gonna go with Team Flash on this one. I think that he winds up pulling away, pretty good if those two guys hit, like I think they will. Atlanta, I mean, you saw what Philly did to them, and Tampa is going to light them up.
Yeah.
Okay, in it to win it versus the Leatherheads, the top two dogs right now. The number 1 and the number 2 seed go against each other.
And Mahomes and Hill have that Sunday night matchup.
Oh, that
at
is going to be
Baltimore.
a glorious.
It's a great game.
We got to watch that one.
Yep. So as of right now, he's got AJ Dillon in as a running back
Which
spot for him to win.
Got to imagine that's going to change.
Well, I don't hate it, man. Going against Detroit on Monday night, but I mean, his only other option is to go with Tyson Williams.
Which, let's mention that real quick. Did that actually go through, or does that happen tomorrow?
It went through.
Okay, so there was the first trade made in the league, and I love trading, man. I'm excited that somebody broke the ice. So the trade
It had to be me.
It had to be you. It had to be you. And now you got your little protege under your wing. Trying to make deals. So Tyson Williams and Tyler Boyd for Chase Claypool. I approved the trade. Obviously, I think it's a fair trade. I honestly think Dave actually made out a little bit better, which was why when I seen that, I was completely shocked because you don't make deals unless they're good for you.
Yeah.
So, but it is a fair trade overall.
It's a gamble, obviously, for me. Running backs are premium. So you got a guy like Tyson Williams that's, I weighed it out and I said, Tyson Williams, he started on Monday night. He obviously got the stats. He got 18 points. But just watching how that game unfolded. And it wasn't really even Latavius Murray. He looks washed.
Yeah.
He does not look good.
Yeah.
But it's Lamar Jackson, man.
Yeah, he's
Lamar
the concern.
Jackson is the biggest ball hog I've ever seen.
He's
in my
not going to
life.
get a lot of touchdowns because Jackson's going to take.
Yeah,
it's
and
tough.
he doesn't want to give the ball to
No,
Williams.
he doesn't. But Baltimore has the best rushing attack in the NFL.
Yeah, and just because of that, Williams will do enough.
Well, not only that, but listen, Mark Ingram. They've had fantasy relevant running backs every year. So I like the trade, and this is why I don't want to get too much into it because I don't know how long we've been going.
We've been going
It's
way
been
too long.
way too long. But
Nobody's
that's
gonna
why
listen.
it's so important to play the waiver wire. You pick them up off the wire, you got a solid wide receiver 3 for them. All right, moving on.
Who's winning between the Leatherheads and in the win?
I'm gonna go with the Leatherheads on this
Me
one.
too, 2-0. All right, the last one is the
Ooh.
battle of what's your dad's address?
Father versus son. This is 24 Sea-Pine. No, man, 204 Sea-Pine Drive.
This is the battle of 204 Sea Pine Drive.
Carver Township, New Jersey.
Yep, and the college moms, man, he is projected to score 165 points. Woo! Jeez Louise, that's a lot of points.
Yeah. I think it just is like last week. My dad was projected to get blown out. Coach Chafin, he has Lamar Jackson. He has he has Waller. He has DeAndre Hopkins. I mean,
He's got enough chips.
He's
man.
got Derrick Henry, who didn't have a good week last week.
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to be closer than what Yahoo's projecting right now. But I think my brother last week, nobody really hit. So I'm going to go with my brother, the Platinum Yahoo All-Star here. Connor Schaefer.
I too picked the college moms to win that one.
Yep.
So if the college moms wins, and if K Slayers beats Team Flash, then there's going to be 4 1-1 teams, and if Dirk McGirt can pull out the upset and beat me, then there'll be 6 teams that are 1-1.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other ones, maybe
Sure.
an 0-2, a couple 2-0s. So it's going to take the first month before we can really see what's what.
Yep.
Let's finish up with the introduction for the Thursday night football game. We really have to speed through this.
Yeah.
We want our faithful fantasy football all in the family. guys to listen, and we don't want to, take them hostage with all of our wonderful thoughts and all our prognostication. But
Yeah. So before right before we get into that, let me just say this. So we're certainly interested of your guys' feedback. We're interested in suggestions. One thing that was suggested, which I think we will do going
starting
forward,
next week,
is having a guest on from the league. Whether it's a bad beat, whether it's they had the most points, whether it's somebody crazy got injured. We are going to start doing that. The other thing is, honestly, both of us don't really have the time to be doing this, but we love to do it. So, maybe there's a possibility that, we come here one night, do a long one, split it into two, something like that. So we'd be certainly interested in your guys' feedback from that to kind of let us know what you guys think.
So Thursday night, you have the New York Giants traveling to D.C. or Landover, Maryland, to play the Washington football team. Washington is the favorite. They're laying 3 points to the Giants. The over-under is 40.5. That would have been the lowest over-under week 1.
That's horrible.
Grossly low. Who wins the game? I'll ask you straight up.
Washington wins the game.
Okay. All right. Who's the big fantasy scorer in this game?
The big fantasy scorer in this game, I'm just gonna go with something nutty here. Logan Thomas.
Wow.
That's where I'm at. I think Logan Thomas is gonna be the big guy this week.
Wow.
It's a bold take.
It is.
It's a hot take.
It's a bold take. Yep.
What do you say? Who's winning? Who's gonna be the star?
So I say that the Washington football team is going to win the game. I think it's going to be a close game, and I'm going out on a limb and saying it's going over. I think that these two teams know each other good enough, and my fantasy star is Saquon Barkley.
Ooh.
I really think Saquon Barkley is going to do enough in the passing game, in the receiving game, and rushing. He's going to find the end zone, and at the end of it, he's going to get about 24, 25 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's way more likely that, Barkley or Scary Terry or one of the quarterbacks go off. But it's a good matchup for Barkley, but I don't think he does it this week.
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing him in slowly. So
yeah.
I think that the only shot the Giants have to keep up with Washington is to really keep their best player involved, which is Barkley.
Yep.
So.
All right, one more thing. Give me one gem. Give me one low-ranking guy who's going to come up out of nowhere this week, and then we're signing off.
Oh, man. One low-ranking guy. Well, let me pull up my rankings.
Or just somebody who's not like a top 15 ranked player. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Go ahead. Why don't you go first?
Okay, so there is, let me just make sure. Okay, so the guy I had in mind is right now 25. So I'm going to go with Jalen Reagor this week. I think Jalen Reagor winds up coming in and having a decent game this week. I think, he's going to get at least 15 points.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to go this week with, let me see here. Let me pull up my rankings. Let's see here. There it is. This week, I am going to go with Kareem Hunt.
Ooh,
I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. I really do think that the Cleveland Browns are going to destroy the Houston Texans. I think they're going to score 40 points. And when they're up big, I think Kareem Hunt is going to get, it's not going to be that they're throwing the ball. I think he's just going to get a lot of carries.
He's going to get a lot of work.
They're going to try and preserve Nick Chubb as they should. And Kareem Hunt's just going to be fed the ball.
Awesome.
So,
all right. Well, there you have it, guys. That is our Week 1 recap and Week 2 preview. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.